Hello, wonderful universe. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing. And today I am bringing you the Taurus full moon total lunar eclipse astrological report. This eclipse is going to happen on November 8th, 2022 at 5:02 a.m. Central Standard Time. And what can we say? I think everyone's feeling it. I think everyone's feeling it as I tape this right now, and this is weeks in advance. A lot of pressure. It feels like I've heard people say people are losing their minds. I largely attribute it to these eclipses coming. I think people are feeling the pressures of them coming on. And as I film this, the first one has not even happened yet on the 25th. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But first, let's just talk about some notable things. First and foremost, you might notice I am back indoors because we are in fall and it is a time to go inward. It's cold outside here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I could have done the video outside, but I would be cold, I would be uncomfortable, I would not be focused. And so what do we do when it gets cold? We go inward. It's a season for reflection, for inner processing, and just kind of being, where it's not so much about being outward. Of course, we're going to be doing things out in the world, but it gets just a little bit harder, right? The universe, or in this case, nature here, is asking us to turn in, just like the zodiac signs, right? Or the signs in the Northern Hemisphere reflect that. When you start to go up into, especially Scorpio, we're about to go into Scorpio season here. And it's all about turning inward. And then you hit Sagittarius, and there's some outward bound energy. It's kind of a little bit of excitement, but still, it's more of a mental thing, like philosophizing, having a good time. Then you hit Capricorn, and it's hunker down time. Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So it's time to go inward. That's one of the big things I can really say about the notables here. And then, of course, it's the eclipse. That's going to be a huge, I don't want to say it's everything, because there's a lot of strong aspects today, but like it's intense because of the aspects. And then another notable is that about a week and a half ago, according to when the full moon happens here, is that Mars will be going retrograde. And we just had talked about for the last few months how almost all the planets were in retrograde. Things were kind of not moving forward. The few planets that were not going retrograde were Mars and Venus. And so Mars is now going backwards. And that's a little frustrating for everybody because Mars wants to go forward. It's what it does. Some of the other planets, they're going inward is not such a scary thing or against their nature. Mars is like, no, go forward now, always move. And so the other interesting aspect about this is that it only does a retrograde every about 2.5 years, so it's not as common. And when it stays in the sign, when it's retrograde, it's going to stay there for months and months, about till next March. So that's a lot different. It's only about a month, a little bit over a month and a half normally in a sign, up to 2 months. So it's going to be a different feel. And so what are we going to be redoing over the winter here? Maybe our perspective on the world, how we take in information, how we perceive ourselves, others, how we communicate. I'm thinking about truth too. Again, this eclipse is on the day of the election. Mars is retrograde, seeking out the truth, because Gemini actually doesn't worry about the truth so much, but if it has to redo the facts, like look things over, like things are going to be looked over, because it's like, oh, I have to redo my work. I just kind of put it out there, but now I have to redo this. And so I think there are going to be some truths coming out, especially because it's Scorpio season, right? Scorpio is about digging deep, and it's facts, but it's trying to find the dirt, like what is like causing the problem here? What's like the real thing? Like we say X is the problem, but like really it is something else that we can't even see, feel, or touch. And Scorpio goes and finds it and brings it out. It's like, hey, everybody, here it is, kind of chipper because they've done their job well and everyone else is like horrified by like this crazy thing that they've dug out. So, again, day of the election, what comes out, I don't know. And so just remember, full moon means always that the sun and the moon are directly opposing each other. And that's why you can see the moon in its fullness, because the sun is directly shining in on it. So we've got energy in Scorpio and energy in Taurus. So always keep that in mind when we're talking about this. So let's go into the theme and the story. I'm really getting into trying to talk about things archetypally and with story and example instead of talking all about the aspects, because I relate to stories and I understand the aspects, but I want to make it relatable to everyone, and I hope it helps. So I went to Raven Caldere's book on the moon phase astrology to say, all right, let's see what his description of this moon is. And as always, it's spot on. He calls the Taurus full moon the Earth Mother's moon. And sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Sounds beautiful and supporting, and it is. The Earth Mother brings us what we need. Shoes, food, housing, all those materials that we need to live, right? In a physical body, right? We're humans, as far as I know, most everybody, and they're living in a physical body. She's giving that to us. However, this is not the Cancer mother, right? The mother has many faces. A lot of people want to think that the archetypal mother is just very Cancerian, giving in, loving, and no matter what, the mother is diverse. And we should all remember this, because I'm going to be talking about this in this reading, but I think everyone knows that. They've talked to a friend where this friend has that archetypal mother who's just like, just giving. And then they have one that's very much more like, I'm going to help you survive, but I'm going to be tough about it. There's a lot of different kinds of mothering, and none of them are wrong. They're all just a different face of it. And so the other side of this face, well, and it's specifically for this moon, is that if she has her 6 children, right, we're just talking about humans on the planet. It doesn't have to be specific, because she's giving to all. She gives to everybody, animals, plants, humans. She doesn't discriminate. So she goes, all right, children, there's 6 of you, and I have 4 apples. Here you go. And they go, okay. And they talk amongst themselves, and there might be some quarreling, and some say, well, you know what? Too bad. 2 of us are not going to get it. And, maybe next time. And then the mother goes, that's not okay. That's not what I want. Everyone needs to have something. And so if the children cannot make a decision where it's equitable, because they could divide things in a way that would make it equitable, might take a little bit of time, but if the mother sees that, she's going to take it away. And that's the theme of this eclipse, right? Eclipses are when they happen. So this moon is full, it's bright, right, in the sky, and then the shadow comes over it of the earth, and it just, you can't see it, right? Where did it go? Where did our resources go? Taurus is about resources, literally physical things, and also about value as well. But where are those material things going? Are they disappearing? I don't know. And what that says to me is that if we have things in our lives where we are not sharing where it could be shared, or we're hoarding things, or it may be time for us to let a resource go that we've used but now can be passed on, it might get taken away from us. And this can be a global thing. I mean, we could actually have a strong ripple thing of removal in our food chain, in our economy, money, value, anything. I'm not making predictions. It's just, that's a very literal translation of the potential, because at the same time, Uranus is right next to the moon, and Uranus is about sudden things. And it's like, it's a thing that's building, right? Like, let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette did not understand what was going on, that her people didn't have it, and they took her head for it. They were like, okay, we're going to take something from you because you don't get what you're not giving to us here. And she's not the mother. She's just another child in that situation, right? Like, she's hoarding all the food, doesn't obviously understand that their people are starving. And then there's an eruption. There's a revolution, all because of the inequality of what's happening with the actual resources here. So that is, it's not the dark side of the mother. She's just trying to be fair. And she's not going to come to you and say, oh, there, it's okay. And emotion, that's not her comforting. Her comforting is with the things. And so, like I said, Uranus causing potential drastic change. Could be sudden loss, could be sudden gain. But another aspect into this whole cycle is that Saturn is in Aquarius squaring the sun and the moon. And so how I see that is Saturn's responsibility is like, yes, we are responsible for the global good now. Like, Aquarius is the greater good. And Saturn's like responsibility. Like, we're trying to make a better world. What are we doing to do this? And how are we doling out the resources to do it? Is it fair? Is everyone sustained? And so Saturn could be saying, you do have to let something go. You do need to share. It's time now. We're trying to make this better. And if you don't, again, like, I don't know what authority would come down, but it's there maybe an authoritarian kind of figure in the larger scheme of things going like, oh, this is going to change now. We can't do this anymore, and we're going to make a law. It has to happen, whether people like it or not. And so cooperation is a theme of this moon. Hopefully we can cooperate with the energies we're feeling. If you're feeling these calls to let things go, whether it's a resource or things that are no longer yours, let it go. Because I do feel like this energy is going to bring it out for every single one of us in its own way. And it could be more on a global thing. Depends on your chart. Remember, everyone has a unique chart and how it's happening and the aspects. So some are going to feel it more than others. But I do think we're all going to see the ripple through the collective in this one. I'm going to put it out there. And so, I thought about the other side of this with a Scorpio, okay? Scorpio has also, the sun in this day has Mercury and Venus conjunct it. And it's, so there's the thought process of like merging with another and merging our resources and unifying those resources and going deeper and working with our power and our power with another. And then also there's this desire. Venus is not super comfortable there, but you could think about it as like, okay, like, how do I want to connect with somebody? So like, there's this kind of disconnect of like, I'm trying to merge with somebody, yet I have to make sure I have enough resources, but that these resources go to other people and not necessarily that intimate partner. Like what's the pull and what's the mother face? I was thinking of it with the Scorpio here. Okay. So we've got the Earth Mother in Taurus. And then I was thinking of, and I was kind of meditating on it, I was thinking of Kali. She's a Hindu goddess of death and destruction and transformation, but also represents fear in a lot of different interpretations. And I mean, there's many, many stories around Kali, but the long and short of it is that there are demons that she faces and she slays them, right? She is wild, she is strong, she is fierce, like it is happening. And she's dancing with ecstasy on their bodies, just crushing them. And her partner Shiva is around. He gets stepped on. He's dying. She's destroying everything. It doesn't matter. She's the destroyer. And man, that sounds fearful, right? Sounds very scorpionic too. Like I'm going to destroy it all so it can be reborn. But, so, all right, that sounds like a very harsh mother. But her lesson can be the most deeply nourishing because what she's doing, she's destroying everything. She's saying, all right, it all goes, every bit of it. And she breaks us of our fear of the loss of the things, right? Often we don't share or we keep things because we're fearful of not having or whatever. She's breaking us of that fear. So again, I feel like there's another theme of just, it's got to go, whatever it is that we're holding on to that either has to be shared or it is no longer of service to us, or it's just, like I said, causing a ripple where, you can see that someone around you needs it. Maybe it's a little bit of your time. Maybe it's a little bit of your love. Maybe it's none of those things. Maybe it's actual resource. Maybe you are a food hoarder. How can you share and give back? Maybe you get to keep some food, but how can you give back where making sure other people are eating too? It doesn't have to be this very, like harsh, cut and dry. Like you don't have to give all your money away. But how can you maybe educate others and how they can save money or make money? Things like that. Like there's different ways of doing this, but we're being asked to do it. Then there's one more, well, there's many aspects. What I want to say about that mothering too, there's a positive aspect here. Circe's, the mother asteroid, is in Virgo and she's making harmonious aspects to this eclipse. And so I feel like that's the mother going, okay, I can help you sort out what you need to let go of. It's okay. I'm going to help you rebuild that future too, like better, like, not perfect. I don't want to say perfect, but like finding a perfection in this letting go. Like, okay, yeah, you can let that go. That actually is not serving you because she can see what is not in the service. Like in Scorpio and Taurus, they may not actually see what has to go. Like they just know something has to go, or maybe they don't want to let it go. So it's just like their perspective is not fully there. But with the Virgonian energy, it's giving you perspective. And it's also saying, hey, we can rebuild this too, but you got to let some of this dead weight go because you're actually building something with like, say, faulty parts or a faulty foundation. Like that's rotting wood. What are you doing? Let it compost and turn into something different. Let's find you something better. Let's change the story here. The other aspect that I see that's kind of interesting, and it's not fully lining up with the moon, but I feel like it's another narrative at the same time, which I do believe will be coming out in this election, is that Mars is retrograde and it's in Gemini. It squares Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, and they're both retrograde. These are the planets right now, the ones that are in retrograde. There are some asteroids, but these are the only ones that are in retrograde. So like they're all kind of, you know, going after each other, not going after, they're following each other backwards into something different. And Mars is trying to kind of catch up to, or chasing after that Neptune. So you think about Jupiter and Neptune, like they're happy, it's watery, it's dreamy, but it also could be like way too much water, way too much feelings, and a whole lot of delusion, right? But it could also mean like lots of dreams and lots of good feelings too, as well. Like it's a mixed bag. And so the imagery I got with this was the sea, right? It's beautiful. And so that's represented by Neptune, right? Pisces, Jupiter, all those things, right? Beautiful sea. And above it is this hot air balloon. Someone's cruising along and they look down and they're high above and they see the sea and it's wonderful and beautiful from where they're at. But now things are going retrograde and that Mars is going backwards. So I see like the balloon getting popped. It doesn't deflate completely, but just enough to get it like right skimming over the water. So what was once beautiful up above and like seemed good, right? Like ideal. And you get down close to it, kind of gets terrifying. Like, whoa, like the sea is massive. It's powerful. It can take me right now. And like, it depends on the day. It could be really terrifying and then it could be beautiful. So how I see that is like, we're getting up and close to our dreams and like really reassessing like, oh, is this beautiful and good and needs to go forward, or is this terrifying and maybe not needing to be done? Or it doesn't have to be terrifying, but you know, I'm thinking about a tumultuous sea. Like, where's the reality too? Like, it brings in the reality of the dream. Let's put it that clearly. And we will get to go forward with it eventually, but not for a while because these planets, like I said, are going retrograde, especially Mars, for a few months up until, like I said, I believe March. So we're gonna be feeling this, and we might feel a little disgruntled because we want things to go forward, especially with what we want to, you know, like what we're dreaming of. And Mars is just like, no, we're changing our perspective on it. We're redoing it. And again, like, you know, breaking down the illusion on the day of the election, right? Where is the illusion? Where are the lies? Where is like, well, you know, like just where people are pumping up the air. Maybe it's, again, flowery language, right? Making things look prettier than they maybe really are. And so before I read the quote that I'm going to read, I've been talking to people, and what I can say is, especially depending on your chart, be kind to yourself during these eclipses and be kind to others, because I think it's going to be really felt. It's going to be intense. But with that, I'm going to give you a fantastic quote from Muhammad Ali, and I think this sums it up, and I hope we all take it to heart. And it is, war on nations changes maps. War on poverty maps change. If we can work together to support each other, because the Earth Mother is already doing it, we can change it. We can change this, right? We don't need to change the map. We need to change the paradigm. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology and Healing. If you like what I'm doing, hit like, subscribe, check out my website. I do astrological readings. If you want to know more about your chart and how this is affecting you, I'm happy to do a reading for you. Just give me, you know, send me an email. Happy to help you out. And with that, may the stars guide you and the planets ground you. Ciao for now.